Hello, so in this video, we're going to talk about Module 6 in page 8, numbers 1 and 2. So I'm going to be demonstrating how to solve rational equalities and inequalities. So before we do that or we proceed, prior to continuing to this video, kindly review your basic factorization formulas first, okay? Because you need that review. So let's look at module 6. So this is, we are going to follow this example, but I'm going to demonstrate it in Google Jamboard, okay? So this is our basic factorization of formulas which we are going to use in order to solve this example. So what we want from in solving this is that we want to get the value of the x's in this rational nga equality. So it's an equality because why? Because of its equal nga sign. So sige, fine. Let's try to do let's do it step by step daw. So it's also helpful if we also review concepts sa inyong LCD. So kani siya. Find the least common denominator. So if we want to find the least common denominator, we have to let's look at the left side of the equation first. So i-copy sa nato Control Z. Minus yan siya 1 over x minus 1 equal to 1 over 2. Remember that kaning x squared minus 1, it follows this formula baya kaning nga form. So a squared minus b squared, wherein ang atuang a would be x, ang atuang b would be 1. So let's try to factor those two things out. So that's 2 x minus 1 x plus 1 minus 1 over x minus 1 equals 1 over 2. So, if you look at the denominator, unsa man ang atuang LCD. So, our atuang LCD would be, pila man ka types of, kani siyang x minus 1, it occurs on both denominators man, diba? So, appeal na siya. And it also, but kanang sa first term, we have this kanang term which is x plus 1. So this is our least common denominator. So what do we do with the least common denominator? Number 2. Now what step 2? Now ang step 2, we multiply both sides of the equation with the LCD. So we multiply this whole expression here with the LCD. X minus 1 times x plus 1. Multiply it by 2 x minus 1 x plus 1 minus 1 x minus 1 is equal to 1 over 2. So we try to do it on both sides. So ato ni siyang i-distribute on each term. Distribute this one, and also distribute to this other one sa pikas nga side of the equation. So what does that look like? X minus 1 x plus 1 2 So it will look like this if ang atoang i-distribute tong ang atong LCD sa terms nga nasa equation. So if kani siya gi-multiply ni siya with the first term, naay ma-cancel out, of course naa. So that is x minus 1 on kanang numerator and denominator, ang x plus 1 sad sa both numerator and denominator. What about the second term? So ma-cancel out ra ang x minus 1 on the numerator and denominator. Anya, sa right side, we cannot cancel out anything. So what do we do? After we have canceled out this thing, so atong i-copy ang mabilin. So the first term would be 2 ra ang mabilin, and then the second one would be x plus 1 ra ang mabilin, and then be equal to x minus 1 times x plus 1 all over 2. So what do we do with this? ato ni siyang i-simplify. Okay? So, we want to, let's try to simplify. Unsa man ang kuan, ang minus, di ba? Ato ni siyang i-distribute here, first term, second term. So, it will be equal to 2 minus x minus 1. And then, kani x squared minus, let's try to copy this lang. Unsa pa nga pwede na ito mabuhay para ma-simplify. We multiply both sides by 2 to eliminate this denominator here. So, itong multiply both sides by 2. So, that would be 2 minus x minus 1 is equal to 2 x minus 1 x plus 1 over 2. So, kani siya. We can always, let's try to first nga simplify this kaning nasa sud sa bracket. So, 2 minus 1 is equal to negative, it's equal to positive 1, di ba? So, that would be negative x plus 1 multiplied by 2. And then, we copy sa lang. And then, on the other side is that ma-cancel out ning 2 og 2. So, what mabilin would be x minus 1 times x plus 1. So, remember that here, ma-simplify pa natin further by distributing 2. So, 2 times minus x, it would be negative 2x. 2 times positive 1, that would be positive 2. And then, kani siya, this whole term on the right side, ni-follow ni siya gihapon sa kadtong kani nga factorization formula. So, ato rin siyang i-baylo. So, ato ang A would be x and ato ang B would be 1. So, following this kay, it would be x squared minus, pila man ang B squared, if ang B na to kay 1, so that would be 1, di ba? So, because 1 squared is really just equal to 1. So, we have this one. And then, afterwards, what do we do? So, let's try to isolate everything on one side. So, kani siya, what do we do? How do we isolate everything on one side? So, we will try to get all of these terms na nasa kanang left. Ato silang i-swap. Swap sa una, ha? So, this is just equal to x minus 1 equal to negative 2x plus 1. And we are going to, ato ni siyang make sure na kaning right side would be equal to 0. So, how do we do that? We subtract negative x plus 2 on both sides. How does it look like? X squared minus 1 minus 2x plus 2 equals minus 2x plus 2 minus 2x plus 2. So, kani siya, ang atong whole na to right side would be equal to 0, di ba? And this one na sa tong left side kani, if ato na siyang kuhaon ng bracket, it would be x squared minus 1 minus, i-distribute ato ng negative sa first term. So, negative times negative 2x is equal to positive 2x. And then, negative would be, o atong carry over, it would be negative 2. So, we have this expression right here. And yeah, we are to group like terms man. So, x squared, ato na pa una, followed by 2x. And then, what is minus 1? Kanang negative 1 plus negative 2, it is equal to negative 3. So, we end up with this nga quadratic nga expression. And then, ang x squared plus 2x, pwede pa manin nato ni siya ma-factor out. Okay. Or, ni siya. X squared plus 2x minus 3 is equal to 0. So, kanin siya kay pwede pa man nato ni siya unsa may kanang kuan, unsa may pwede nato mahimong values ato ang ani dapita and ani dapita so that it will end up sa inganing expression. So, what we could do would be 3 and 1. Okay? And since negative man ni siya, one of it could be negative, di ba? So, may possibility nga ma-negative sad ning, aron na possibility nga ma-negative ning last nga term. So, I'm gonna try nga, mag-factorization ko by trial and error, use kanang kanisa lang, kani nga mga options. So, let's try to test it using the FOIL method. So, if kani nga ato ang mga factors, if kani atong possible nga factors for this nga quadratic equation, let's try to use the FOIL daw. So, x multiplied by, so let's do the first term. So, x times x to be is equal to x squared. Ana. What about the outside the mga terms? So, x times -1, that would be negative x. What about the inside term? So, 3 times x, that would be 3x. And lastly, the last nga terms would be 3 times -1 would be -3. So, if ato na siyang simplify further, you can see that x squared niya plus, what is 3x minus x? That would be 2x. And then, we copy the last term, which is -3, which is equals ato ang original nato nga expression in the first place. So, mao jud ni siya ang ato ang mga factors. So, that would be x plus 3 multiplied by x minus 1 equal to 0. And since kani siya, let's try to use the kanang multiplication nga rule. So let's try to equate both factors by 0 para makabawta kung unsa ang roots niya or mga x values nga mo return og 0 sa equality. So that would be x plus 3 is equal to 0 and x minus 1 is equal to 0. So unsa na yung x plus 3? So let's try to para ma-isolate na to ang makabata sa value of the kanang first x, we are going to subtract on minus 3 on both sides. So that would be x plus 3 minus 3. It would be 0 minus 3. So 3 minus 3 is equal to 0. And yeah, 0 minus 3 is equal to -3. So this is our first values ato ang x. So x1 is equal to -3. What about this one? What values man para ma-cancel out ning -1 because we are going to add +1 on both sides. So that would be -1 plus 1 and it would be 0 plus 1. So we're adding +1 on both sides. So 1 minus 1, that would be equal to 0. So ma-cancel out na sila. And then 0 plus 1 is just equal to 1. So this is our x sub 2. So atong x sub 1 is equal to -3 and atong x sub 2 is +1. So these are the values of x that would possibly solve this expression sa example number 2. And yeah, what we're going to do is that we are going to check this value by these values, x1 and x2, by substituting them back sa ani nga formula. Okay, so let's try to copy these two numbers down on the next slide. So, unsa to siya? X sub 1 is equal to -3 and x sub 2 would be equal to 1. And then let's try to copy this photo. Ano pa na siya here? Remember that we've already done step 4, step 3, and steps 3 and 4. So nanata sa step 5, but you check each value by substituting its original equation. So let's try to substitute daw if x is equal to -3. So kani siya, using the following equation, we are going to check if sakto, if like kanang equal ba on both sides. So 2 minus 3 squared. We're going to substitute it minus -3, -1 is equal to 1/2. So let's try to do the simplification process. So -3 squared is equal to 9 minus 1. And then -3 minus -1 is equal to -4. Make sure to place parentheses wherever because aron dili mo maglibog. So that's 2. 9 minus 1 is 8. Aniya, minus times, negative times negative, it will be equal to positive. 1/4 is equal to 1/2. And then, kaning 8 is really just equal to 4 times 2 man, di ba? Plus 1/4 equal to 1/2. So, kani siya ma-cancel out. And it would ultimately lead to just equal to 1/4 plus 1/4 will be equal to 1/2. And since same man is like denominator, we could just lump it up to 1 plus 1 is equal to 1 plus 1 over 4. And yeah, what is 1 plus 1? It's 2 over 4, 1/2. So kaning kwan, and 4 is just equal to 2 times 2. So we cancel the 2 out, 2 mabilin. So it is equal to 1/2. Equal to 1/2. So it means that x -3 is a real solution. Okay, so it's true. Real. What about if x is equal to 1? Let's try to test x sub 2. So we are going to substitute it to the equation balik. So that's 1 squared minus 1. 1. We are going to substitute 1 minus 1 is equal to 1/2. So what is 1 squared is just 1 minus 1. That would be 0. So 2 over 0. And this would be over 0 as well. Okay, 1 minus 1 man. 1 over 2. So it would be equal to 1 over 2 equals 1 over 0 over 1 over 2, which is not correct, diba? Kaya both of these are not true because on 1 over 0, this means nga kani siya kay undefined. So it means that x is equal to 1 is an extraneous root. Meaning, siya mo return siya og undefined na number. So it's not part of the solution. Extraneous root. So what does that mean exactly? Umingon kag kanang naay extraneous nga root. So if mo ni siya ang number lines ato ang solutions, if this is our number line of our solutions and this is our 0, 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, let's say -3 here, our solutions, R1 would be, number line is ito solutions ha. So it means nga, si 1, kay dili siya solution. So natay buho, diri, dapita. Everything else kay valid. Especially si number 3, which would be right here because it's a real nga nato nga root. It's a root nato nga number. So, this is very significant because it means nga wala ni labot ni si 1 o na everything else kay part siya sa solution. Now, let's try to daw. Let's try to do the same daw for a rational nga inequality. So this is our example number 2. That's still in page 8. Unya, we are still going to follow the necessary steps sa So the necessary steps nga naa sa module. Okay, let's try to do that daw. Okay. So first is that we are going to put the rational inequality in general nga form daw. So that would be Rx over Qx that nga ato siyang gi-equate or gi-compare against 0. So dapat ang atong right side dapat siya 0. How do we do that with example 2? So we are going to do operations on both ends nga makapa-0 sa right side. So that would be x plus 1. What are we going to do? We are going to subtract number 2 on both sides. Okay? So that's 2 minus 2. So kani siya 2 minus 2 is 0. Anya 3x plus 1 over x minus 1 minus 2. So na 0 na nato ang right side, pero kani siya wa pa siya ni-follow sa form nga mag Rx over Qx. So what do we do? Atong i-multiply ang atong multiply yun ning 2 with x minus 1. Why? Because negative 2 is really just equal to negative 2 multiplied by x minus 1 over x minus 1, di ba? Kaya both of them cancel out, it would just equal to negative 2. So let's substitute this kaning thing here, dire. So, ito na siyang pulihan ng negative 2 with this 1. So that's 3x plus 1 over x minus 1 minus 2 x minus 1 over x minus 1. And since they both have the same nga denominator, ato na siyang ilump. That would be x minus 1. Copy everything from the first nga numerator minus 2 x minus 1. And then copy the inequality nga sign. Next, kay atong isimplify ning numerator first. So how do we simplify? We get rid of the parenthesis. So 3x plus 1. And this is already number 2 na, no? They are kanang 3x plus 1 minus, and then we distribute the negative 2. So negative 2 times x, it would be minus x, negative 2x. And then negative 2 times negative 1, it would be positive 2. X minus 1 greater than 0. And then we group like terms. So, what are our like terms? It would be 3x minus 2x. It would be x. And then, what is 1 plus positive 1 plus positive 2? That would be 3. So, we have this whole expression nga, x plus 3 over x minus 1. That would be greater than 0. So, ano siya? So, let's set both the denominator and numerator to 0. That's number 2 and this is number 3. And follow rat ani. So, what is x plus 3 over 0? What is the value of x? Let's start with the numerator first. So, what values can we do to isolate the x sa left side? Unya, makuha na itong value sa right side. So, we subtract both sides with 3. 0 plus 3. So that makancel out si 3 nga sa left side. That would be equal to minus 3 na siya. X is equal to negative 3. So we have our first atong value. What about the denominator? So that would be x minus 1 is equal to 0. And then, para makancel out si negative 1 sa left side, we add both sides with plus 1. So 0 plus 1. So 1 minus 1, that would be 0. Makancel out is equal to 1. So this is our x2. Now, we are going since we have already gained our kanang critical values, so itong critical values na to. Okay, we are going to plot them sa number line like the way we did sa previous nga number. Okay. Okay. So, asa ganitong kuan gani? Unsa ganitong mga values gani? So, that's negative 3. So, nasa here. Ang usa ka first yung value. And then, positive 1. Nasa dire. So, let's first try to place a open nga kuan. Pwede siya sure ha. Gi-plot natin na siya dito. So, this is our x1, x sub 1, and our x sub 2. So, para ma-sure nga kung makibaw batang if these roots are real roots or extraneous roots, ato na siyang i-substitute ning mga values back to the original nato nga equation. So, let's start daw with x sub 1. So, if x sub 1 is equal to negative 3, atong i-substitute ni here. Kung right, sakto ba? So, 3 multiplied by negative 3 plus 1 over negative 3 minus 1. And if it is greater than or less than 2. So, 3 times negative 3, that is negative 9 plus 1. And then, negative 3 minus 9, minus 1 is equal to negative 4. 2. So, what is negative 9 plus 1? That would be negative 8, diba? And that would be over negative 4. 2. So, negative over negative, that's positive. And yeah, since kani siya this is just equal to 4 times 2, so makasa out si 4, that will give us 2. So, that would be 2 greater than or equal to 2, which is true, di ba? It's 2 is greater than or equal to, so nisatisfy siya sa condition. Therefore, x minus 3 is a real nga root. Let's try to do the same daw with, so it means na kani siya si x sub 2, circle ni siya nga kay part ni siya sa solution. Let's try to test daw if x sub 1 is a kuan, if it is a real nga root. So, try to substitute it. 3 times 1 plus 1 over 1 minus 1 greater than 2. So, 3 times 1 is just equal to 3, di ba? Plus 4, it is equal to 4. And 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. So, which is not true, di ba? Because 4 over 0 is not equal to 2. And yeah, it returns an undefined na term. So, it means that si x equals to 1 is an extraneous root. So, dapat wa siya ilabot sa ato ang solution, even though critical value siya. So, now, what we are going to do is that since inequality man ni siya, okay? Inequality man ni siya. Ang iyang solution should either exist either ani nga area, or ani nga area. So, what do we do nga para makaibaw kung sakto, kung asa ba jud niya ang bound sa iyang solution? We are going to magpili tag numbers nga naa sa ani dapit nga area diri nga shaded ani sa kanang first nga area, which would be, let's say ang ato ang pilion nga value kay -5 na diri. And then ang second nga value para sa ani nga area akong pilion kay between -3 and 1, akong pilion kay si -1. And then lastly, para sa third or last nga area, I would choose pili lang tag numbers nga na belong ani namang area. In this case, I will choose 3. So all these kanang 3 numbers, ako ni siyang i-substitute sa atuang equation, and and check to see if like ni satisfy ba siya sa inequality. So let's try, that's kanang atong first value is -5 man, di ba? So let's do that. So that would be pwedeng i-drag sa here. Okay, just because. So that would be 3 multiplied if x is equal to -5. So that would be 3 times -5 plus 1 over -5 minus -1 greater than 2. So 3 times -5, it's equal to -15 plus 1. -5 minus 6 is equal to -6. So -15 plus 1, that would be -14. And over -6, 2. So, kani siya, makancel out man ni negative over negative, that would be equal to positive. And then, 14 would be just 7 over 2, di ba? And then 6 would be 3 times 2. So, makancel out si 2. Mabilin si 7 over 3. So, pila man ang 7 over 3 sa atuang calculators. So, 7 divided by 3, that would be equal to 2.333. Which is it true that 2.333 is greater than or equal to 2? Yes, it is. So, kato nga area, kani nga area nga naa dire sa number 5, this is part of the solution nato. So, let's just shade it right there. So, let's try daw substituting -1. Okay, since true man ni siya. If x is equal to -1. -1 man to second value na to, no? Okay. So, that would be 3 minus 1 plus 1 negative 1 plus minus 1 greater than 2. So 3 times negative 1, negative 3 plus 1, negative 1 minus 1, that would be negative 2. 1 minus 3 is equal to, pila man na, negative 2 over negative 2 greater than 2. So negative 2 over negative 2, that's just 1, di ba? Kaya negative is negative, positive. So kani siya, is 1 greater than or equal to 2? No, it's not. So it's not true. It means that kani nga ang katong area or space nga kung asa na belong si negative 1 sa tong number line kani, this is not part of the solution. So we leave it blank. Let's try daw kung if x is equal to 3. So let's substitute its equation. So 3 times 3 plus 1. 3 minus 1 greater than 2. So, what is 3 times 3? It is 9 plus 1. Ito simplify. So, 3 minus 1, that's 2 greater than 2. 9 plus 1 is equal to 10 over 2. Diba? So, what is 10 over 2? That's equal to 5, which is greater. So, akong I ask is that is 5 greater than or equal to 2? Yes, it is. So, this is true. Meaning to say, ang katong area kung asa na belong si 3, x is equal to 3, is part of the solution. So, we shade this portion. So, mao ni siya ang ato ang plot sa itong solution sa itong inequalities. This is the one. This is what we are going to present. So, ang ato ang kuan na to, final na tong answer is that we use the interval notation para to write the final answer. Since mara man ni atong real di mga root kay ato ang kuan si negative 3 ug si positive 1, atong final answer would be kung real sa nga root would be negative 1 aniya negative 3 di ay negative 3 comma 1 aniya close parenthesis. So we have the real, we have the extraneous root, nya man itong final nato nga answer. So I hope na if you have any questions, kindly message me sa ako ang solution so that I can explain further.